What if I told you that cutting expenses is actually keeping you broke? That the budgeting advice you've been following your entire life is designed to keep you trapped in the middle class? The ultra-wealthy approach expenses completely differently than everyone else. While most financial gurus are telling you to cut back on everything, the wealthy are strategically increasing certain expenses, and that's exactly why they keep getting richer. Today, I'm revealing the 4-category expense system used by the financial elite, and why they intentionally increase spending in one critical category that most people completely overlook. This isn't theory. This is the actual framework used by millionaires and billionaires to make spending decisions. A framework that's deliberately kept out of mainstream financial education. When you understand these 4 expense types, everything changes. You'll stop feeling guilty about certain purchases. You'll eliminate expenses that are truly holding you back. And most importantly, you'll know exactly which expenses to increase to accelerate your wealth. The wealthy evaluate expenses completely differently than the average person. They use what I call the expense matrix, a 4-quadrant system that completely transforms how they make spending decisions. The financial industry wants you to believe all expenses are bad, that you should cut everything possible to save more. This creates the perfect consumer, someone who feels guilty about spending, while simultaneously being manipulated into buying things they don't need. The truth is that not all expenses are created equal. Some destroy wealth, others build it, some enhance your life now, others protect your future. The key is knowing which is which. Here are the 4 distinct expense categories the wealthy recognize. 1. Destructive expenses. These destroy wealth by creating liabilities without assets. 2. Lifestyle expenses. These enhance your quality of life but don't build assets. 3. Protective expenses. These protect your property and human life value. And 4. Productive expenses. These actually create more wealth when you spend money on them. Most people lump all expenses together and try to minimize everything. The wealthy understand these critical distinctions and make spending decisions accordingly. Destructive expenses are the only type the wealthy actively work to eliminate. These are expenses that destroy wealth by creating liabilities without assets. The clearest example is credit card interest. When you carry a balance on a high-interest credit card, you're paying for past consumption with no corresponding asset to show for it. Other destructive expenses include overdraft fees, late payment penalties, and loans taken out for items that depreciate rapidly, like borrowing to fund a vacation or finance the latest electronics. The wealthy are extremely vigilant about eliminating these expenses because they understand compound interest works against you here. These costs multiply over time and create an ever-growing drag on your finances. But here's where the wealthy approach differs from traditional budgeting advice. They don't obsess over cutting every expense. They focus exclusively on eliminating these destructive expenses while being strategic about the other 3 categories. The second category is lifestyle expenses. These create quality of life but don't directly build assets. Things like dining out, entertainment, vacations, clothing, and housing beyond basic needs. The middle-class approach tells you to cut these ruthlessly. The wealthy approach is completely different. They manage these expenses wisely but don't try to eliminate them altogether. The wealthy understand a profound truth. The point of creating wealth is to enjoy your life. What good is becoming wealthy if you're miserable along the way? There are 3 key principles the wealthy follow with lifestyle expenses. First, they never borrow to pay for lifestyle expenses. They pay cash for these items, ensuring they can truly afford them. Second, they evaluate lifestyle expenses using a value-based approach rather than a price-based approach. They consider price, which is what they pay, cost, the net economic impact, and value, the personal enjoyment or fulfillment received. The wealthy consider value first, cost second, and price third. They focus on quality of life rather than just accumulating money for its own sake. Third, they understand there's a time value to life, not just money. Delaying all enjoyment until some future retirement date means missing the journey of life itself. This doesn't mean reckless spending, it means thoughtfully choosing lifestyle expenses that bring genuine fulfillment while staying within your means. The third category is widely overlooked by most financial advice: protective expenses. These protect your property and human life value from damage or loss. Protective expenses include insurance, such as life, disability, health, and property insurance. They also cover emergency funds, estate planning, corporate structures, and legal protections. Most people underinvest in this category, leaving themselves vulnerable to financial ruin from a single emergency. The wealthy, by contrast, prioritize appropriate protection. Why? Because protective expenses provide something invaluable: peace of mind. The wealthy approach to protective expenses isn't about overspending on every possible protection, it's about being strategic, transferring catastrophic risks to insurance companies while maintaining appropriate emergency reserves for everything else. By handling protective expenses properly, you create space for more production and growth, rather than living in fear of what might go wrong. Now we come to the category that truly separates the wealthy from everyone else. Productive expenses. These are expenses that actually create more wealth over time. Expenses where spending $1 returns more than $1. This is completely counterintuitive to traditional financial advice, which treats all expenses as negative. The wealthy actively work to increase productive expenses because they understand these accelerate wealth creation. What exactly are productive expenses? They include investing in your education and skills, building or buying income-producing assets, hiring staff that free up your time for higher-value activities, marketing that grows your business, and tools and technology that increase your productivity. Let me give you a simple example. If you spend $2,000 on a course that teaches you skills to earn an extra $10,000 per year, that's not an expense. It's an investment with a 400% first-year return. The wealthy think differently about these expenses. If you own an asset that allows you to put in $1 and get $2 out, how many dollars would you want to put into it? As many as possible, right? But people trapped in the cut all expenses mentality often don't consider this possibility. They cut indiscriminately, reducing productive expenses alongside destructive ones, and wonder why they can't get ahead. Even during economic downturns, the wealthy continue to invest in productive expenses. Harvard Business Review found that companies who balanced cost-cutting with strategic investments in marketing, research and development, and new assets had the highest probability of thriving through and after recessions. Now it's time to apply this framework to your own finances. Let's walk through a practical process for categorizing your spending. First, gather your bank and credit card statements for the past 30 days. Every expense you've incurred will fall into one of our 4 categories. Ask yourself these questions for each expense. Does this expense create scarcity or strain my production? If yes, it's destructive. Does this expense enhance my quality of life without building assets? If yes, it's a lifestyle expense. Does this expense protect my production or assets? If yes, it's a protective expense. Does this expense increase my value creation or production? If yes, it's a productive expense. As you categorize, you'll likely find patterns. Most people discover they're spending too much on destructive expenses, are imbalanced on lifestyle expenses, have inadequate protective expenses, and are drastically underinvesting in productive expenses. The goal isn't to eliminate all expenses. It's to eliminate destructive expenses, manage lifestyle expenses, address protective expenses properly, and increase productive expenses. You might be surprised at how this process changes your perspective on spending. Suddenly, certain expenses that felt guilty before might be revealed as valuable investments in your future. Here's your 3-step action plan to implement this expense framework in your own life starting today. Step 1. Complete a full expense audit using our 4-category framework. List every expense from the past month and categorize each one. Then calculate what percentage of your spending falls into each category. Step 2. Identify immediate opportunities for expense transformation. Look for destructive expenses to eliminate completely. Then look for opportunities to transform lifestyle expenses into productive ones where possible. Step 3. Create a strategic spending plan that intentionally increases your productive expenses. Identify 3 specific productive expenses you could increase in the next 30 days that would generate returns exceeding their cost. Remember, the goal isn't to restrict your life through endless cutting. It's to be strategic about where your money goes, so that more of it returns to you. The wealthy aren't wealthy because they're misers who refuse to spend money. They're wealthy because they understand which expenses destroy wealth and which ones create it. As you implement this framework, you'll experience a profound shift in how you think about money. Rather than seeing finances as a restrictive budget, you'll see it as a strategic allocation of resources. If you found this valuable, subscribe to Stealth Wealth Hacks for weekly insights into the exact strategies the ultra-wealthy use to build and protect their wealth. Remember, while everyone else is focused on cutting back, the wealthy are strategically increasing expenses that make them richer. Now you know exactly how to do the same.